Used to just been to. Well, a very good afternoon, everybody at Not Just Crew. Welcome, and a massive, massive welcome to Ann-Marie Burmester, who's to my left here. Hello, Ann-Marie, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm fine, thanks. I'm really excited to be here today. Nervous, but excited.
We've been waiting, it seems like an eternity, for this show to share with our Not Just Crew members there. But it's here, it's live, it's ready, it's 2 o'clock on this Thursday. Trevor, cue the titles.
Not Just Crew has been internationally inspired by you.
What do you think of those titles?
Impressive.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. We all love those titles. Listen, it's an absolute honour, a pleasure to have you on today's show, Ann-Marie. I've been looking forward to this show for so long, and I cannot believe the amount of interest we've had. People express, we've had like over 105 people who were attended, are interested in coming. It's an absolute record. The previous one was 77. You've smashed it completely. So it just goes to show
how quickly they switch off as well.
No, that's not happening, because I'm looking at how many people are tuning in, and there's absolutely loads already. Phenomenal. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, all those who've expressed an interest and want to watch what we're going to deliver for you today, because it is all for your benefit. It's been overwhelming, the response that we've had, so we really do appreciate your interest, and all of those amazing people who are in our group who want to follow their careers with the NHS, whatever role, especially specifically what I do, which is a clinical care assistant, what Ann-Marie does, she's a paramedic in the South East of England service. But we're going to cover so many things. We're going to go through interview tips, techniques, explain the role. If you have any questions as we go through this process, then please post them up. Trevor's producing in the background. He can post them up on the screen, and Ann-Marie will answer them, or I will endeavour to answer them. So without further ado, I've already thanked Ann-Marie. She knows how grateful I am for her to be on this show. I am super, super grateful and very excited. So let's start off. Introduce yourself, Ann-Marie, and give us a brief bio of how you started, because you had many, many years flying before you became an amazing paramedic. So tell us about your journey as crew, young lady.
I was a very young, naive 19-year-old when I started with Britannia Airways, as they were back then. I joined as a 3-4. We were numbers then. We didn't have a title. It was a number. And then after 6 years for being a 3-4, I then got promoted to what was then a 2, the next rank being a number 1. They then amalgamated the ranks eventually. I think I then became an in-flight supervisor, or I think it was IFS, when you could fly, whoever was the most senior would fly as the in charge, and then the other would be down the back. I think they then called us customer experience managers. And then
you've had some titles.
We've had some titles. I mean, I've got a box downstairs with all my Britannia badges in, with the different things I was called throughout.
Oh,
but I was there, best years of my life, 24 years. And I was a manager for obviously the last few years I was there. And I took I took a career break, and then took voluntary redundancy in 2012. I'd met my future husband, the lovely Ed, who had got a job with BA. He'd been working at Britannia, and we were moving down south, closer to his mum and dad, who were getting on a bit, and he was commuting back up from Heathrow to Manchester. So I got a job as a direct entry CM manager at BA, basically on their new mixed fleet. They wanted experienced crew to go in as managers.
Yeah.
So I took my career break. I got the job, but then they delayed my training course. So I was jobless for about 6 months, but well, I was going to be. So I then went to work for Virgin Trains, did 6 months on the trains. And then my course date got knocked back again with BA with no start. So then luckily the amazing Virgin Atlantic were recruiting for cabin crew. So I went in as cabin crew and did that for about 18 months before BA then opened up the direct entry manager route again. And then I went across. Eventually got into the role as manager in 2014, I think that was. So I had 2 great years at Virgin, met amazing people who I'm still friends with now. Loved it, loved Virgin. And then a couple of years at BA, which I enjoyed, but I got to the point where I thought, I think I've had enough of this flying lark. I need to explore something different. And that's when I got interested I'd been interested for a long time in medical things, anything to do with medicine. I actually, it sounds sad, but I did enjoy a medical emergency on the aircraft, because I felt like I was really doing something. It was something I enjoyed learning about and felt like I was using those skills. I actually had a resus on a flight from Chicago. We had to divert into Boston at BA, and it was really like, this is what I want to do for a job. So then I applied to Southeast Coast Ambulance and went from there.
So you weren't far into the flight then when the arrest happened on board, which is lucky, because if you're halfway over that Atlantic, that's a bit of a stressful time.
It was down the back on a jumbo, down the back. All the trays were down, all the meals were out, and this lady had gone into cardiac arrest, and luckily there was a nurse. What bit
of kit did you have on that on the flight?
Well, not a Tempest like at Virgin. We just had a shock box, a defib, but it did the trick. 2 shocks.
Wow.
She was back. That it happens like that all the time, which obviously it doesn't. Gave me a little.
It's like it's hard to like explain to people, because a lot of people think that if we turn up on scene and someone's like arrested, then we're going to bring them 9 times out of 10. We're going to get them back and everything's going to be fine. But you know as well as I do, that's not the case, is it? Yeah.
It's a harsh reality, but and also quite often they're not, our patients now I'm seeing as a paramedic, they're not in a shockable rhythm. The shock boxes on the aircraft will shock VF only, whereas we can shock VT, ventricular tachycardia as well. But a lot of times patients are in asystole, they're not shockable, and you've got families saying, why aren't you shocking them? Why aren't you shocking them?
Yeah.
You can't shock what isn't there. I think there is a perception that that's what always happens. You put those pads on, shock, and then it works. But
amazing results on that Chicago. Did you get much feedback afterwards for that passenger, the patients, after you got them back?
No, I mean, they were conscious. They were GCS, she was probably GCS about 13 when we got her off. So, obviously it was an arrhythmia. She just had an arrhythmia and we got it quick. I know that now because I've been at uni for 3 years. I didn't know at the time how it worked and how what we'd done had helped. But the only feedback was from, was basically our BA's in-flight medical team wanting to know what we'd done, when we'd done it, why we did it, anything we thought would be useful sort of training-wise going forwards. But we never got to hear about the lady.
Nothing. Patient feedback, nothing, no trail.
Which is, but then that's the same here. Yeah. Quite often we never hear what happens to the patients here now. So
I mean, like what I normally do, I mean, like what you probably do as well. It's like I normally find it like it's unbelievable. Like if you do have a patient, they do arrest and you do get them back. I mean, the patient knows nothing about you or what you've done or anything that's happened over the last 2 hours. So I mean, there's been a few times when we've gone into like resus and we've got the patient back kind of thing, and the patients come back round and resus, and like you say, 20-30 minutes later they're sitting upright, and I'll go back in and like obviously there's still a few staff around and all that, and I'll be looking at the patient from afar, like, you know, and they're looking at me as if to say, well, who the hell are you, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, and like I'm not going to go over and like have a conversation with them because they're still poorly, and so I'm just like looking. It's like I'm looking at the person thinking, you have no idea what has just gone on over the last 2 hours. You probably didn't even know that you died, really. You know what I mean? You have no clue, and these are the people that got you back to life, and then you leave the room. You go out to your ambulance, you tidy all the mess up that's unsued, and you go about, you do the next job. You do the next job, and you're like, it's like it took like, it never ceases to amaze me, the job that we do, where it's just like, right, next, next. You know what I mean? I mean, like you say, not every job is like that, but when they do happen, it's like it's a mind boggler, isn't it? You know? Yeah.
Off you go, restock, clean it, back out. And it's like, hang on a minute, I just need to reset my head of what I've just done and what I've just experienced. And sometimes you haven't got time to process it, and you just go on to the next job or the next, and then you go home. And it's only when you're home then you start to think, oh, okay, that was a different day, or a good day, or a not so good day. So
I always find it best. I just need to keep going, because if I dwell on things too long, then all my thoughts go around in my head. And if I'm just occupied as much as possible, and then I can forget about it because time's elapsed and I've moved on to about 100 other things since then. I haven't got time to kind of like, I can't remember, you know. It's like they become a distant memory, and that really helps me out, kind of thing, you know. So that's how I find it. It's like it works for me. Everyone has the different things.
Well, because as a clinician now, I don't. For me, I couldn't work in a hospital setting unless it was A&E and resource, something that is fast moving. And I think that's the traveller, the crew member in me that's always wanting different things and different experiences, and wanting to, you know, I loved my job. I loved going away. Anyone who knows me, I was there sunbathing in the gym, you know.
Like what? Like what? Sunbathing like what? Like
that. I loved my trips. I was never one to sit in the room. No Delsey dining on my trips. No, I loved it, and I loved the fact that it was different every day, different people every day, different places, and that's what I like about this. I'm out on the truck, and I'm going to different places, different patients, different jobs, different illnesses, different situations, and there's nothing dull about it. There's nothing samey about it. It's all different.
So, you know, you were saying like you had an interest, because I picked up on earlier, you said you had an interest in medicine. So what's all that about?
Well, as a nipper, when I was growing up, if anyone asked me what did I want to be when I grew up, it wasn't cabin crew, because I didn't fly till I was 18. It was nurse. I had my cousin was a midwife, and I looked up to her and thought that's what I'd like to do. But, you know, left school, wasn't allowed to go to college. I had to go and get a job. So I went worked in a hotel, worked briefly as a dental nurse for about 6 months. Just did all sorts of different jobs in hospitality, and then went abroad for the first time when I was 18. Saw a crew flying and thought, this looks great. Wasn't old enough to apply. But then when I was 19, Britannia lowered their age limit, and I thought, I'll give it a go. But yeah, and that's what I did. But I always loved in-flight medical care, you know, whatever each airline calls it now, IMC and AvMed or whatever. And as you know, obviously as crew, we had lots of time off. So I used to volunteer at my local hospital. When I lived in Manchester, it was Stepping Hill in Stockport. So I was a ward volunteer there, and I worked in A&E. I used to just go and do shifts on my days off. Wow. And that's when I got speaking to paramedics, coming in and chatting to them, going, oh, okay, this looks like an interesting job. But when I looked into it as a possible career, I knew I would have to take a pay cut. I knew I would have to go back to school. I'd have to do some recent learning, redo my maths, GCSE, you know, do a level 3 access. There was a lot of sort of hoops to jump through before I could do it. So I just kept putting it off and thinking, oh, no, I can't do it. It's too much. And then, you know, I just got to the point where I thought, well, it was my husband, Ed, who said, if you want to do it, we'll manage, just do it. You've got to, you've got to follow your heart. So you've got to do what you want to do. So give it a go and see what happens. So, yeah. And that was...
So, right. You've done the flying, okay? Yeah. You've got the bug. It's always been a passion of where you wanted to pursue getting into the medical side. So you've done the flying. You already know that you've spoken to the paramedics. So, as you know, I'll give our members a brief rundown. Ann-Marie, over the last 10 months, has helped, along with various other, Claire Graston, other people in our group, helped so many people, right, gain careers within the National Health Service. She's come to like so many people's aid with Claire when people have had questions about becoming a paramedic, becoming a clinical care assistant, because some people just think they can just put in an application, apply for a paramedic, and next thing you know, you're a paramedic. You put the greens on, you've got like a brief history of what you need to do, and you become a paramedic, which obviously it isn't the case. There's so many things you have to go through to get the qualifications, to get to where you need to be. I mean, driving's just one of them, you know what I mean? But like the medical qualifications you need to get. So if you are out there and you're interested in becoming, let's start off with a paramedic. Ann-Marie, tell them what you basically went through to become the paramedic and have your license.
Okay. For me, when I looked into it, there are two routes. You can either go to university and fund yourself basically for 3 years, full-time degree, and then once qualified, you then, once you've got your degree, you then apply to whichever ambulance trust you want to work for. Or you go the in-service route, which is the one I chose, because for me, I needed to still earn. I couldn't afford to put myself through uni. I needed to still earn a salary. We've got a mortgage, we've got bills to pay still. So for me, the working route, although it takes a little bit longer, was going to be the right one. So I got a job as a ECSW, which is an emergency care support worker. So my training was initially 4 weeks clinical training, then 4 weeks driver training, which includes your blue light qualification as well. And then you work on a double crewed ambulance, the DCA, big yellow box, with either a paramedic or a technician. Nowadays, we've got an associate ambulance practitioner, so an AAP rank. So that's like a middle rank. You've got ECSW, which is your entry level, and their skill set is limited to within that scope of practice. Then the next level up, they can do a few more skills. They can do intramuscular injections and some extra interventions. And then obviously paramedic, who's the lead clinician, then they can do pretty much everything. So that's cannulation, intubation, that's, giving controlled drugs and that sort of thing. So yeah, I started as an ECSW. I was working with a paramedic on the ambulance. I did that for a year. You had to be a year minimum in service before you could apply to go on to the paramedic course. Within that year, I had to do my maths GCSE again because I had grade D and I needed it to be a C or above. I also had to do a level 3 access course, which is equivalent to an A level or 2 A levels, to show recent learning in the last 5 years. So I did that within my first year. I was then had the qualifications in place. I then had to apply internally to get onto that course, which was quite a tough process because they, once you're on the course, they pay all your uni fees. They take you off a shift when you need to go to uni, and everything's paid for and sponsored. So the actual process was quite competitive. It involved an interview, a clinical assessment, clinical exam, and an essay. So I got through that, and then I had to go to St George's, University of London, which is where the course was, and get through their interview process as well. Had to do MMIs, so the little mini interviews. Got the place. So then I did an uplift course within CCAM, which was a 2-week course to then take me up to that middle level, that technician level, which is the intramuscular injections and the extra little bits they can do. And then I became an associate practitioner and a student paramedic. So then you do the exact same degree that an external student would do. So it's 3 years, and you have uni time and you have placement time. And that's placement on an ambulance, which for me was just back to work with my crewmate. And you have hospital placements as well. So every year that you go through and you're learning all those skills, you're doing hospital placements as well. So
Brilliant.
It took me 4.5 years, I suppose, to actually get my degree and be qualified. And I registered, I think it was July or August last year, I became fully registered and qualified.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the route that you undertook there is the best route to go down to get the qualification to become a paramedic, because that's because different trusts have different, like, obviously titles. I'm a clinical care assistant, but if I was working down your neck of the woods, I'd be an ECSW. They're all different. Certain other trusts have emergency care assistant, but those CCA, ECSW, ECA, that's what I do. So what Ann-Marie was saying, I assist the paramedic and just offer all my support, and we work together as a team. But when it comes to the important things, so to speak, the injections or the clinical lead and the clinical decisions, that's all made by the paramedic or the technician, or the person who's more senior than myself. But I love doing the role that I do because I work really well in that team dynamics. I know my role inside out. So whoever I'm working with, which I've got a partner called Carol Tennant, who's amazing. We've been together for about 10 months now. We really have a good connection going on. I have done with all my other partners as well, because you learn each other's ways and you adapt. You make that you make those you just work really well together. So that's my role in a bit of a nutshell. I know Trevor's got some questions, so I've asked him to come on because we've been inundated with quite a lot of questions. So what we got, Trev?
Yeah, no, we've had a few questions. Hi, everyone, by the way. First one, can I ask, did you get a job in the NHS before you went to uni, or did you fund a degree yourself? I think you've actually already mentioned that one, but if you want to just summarise it again, that you worked during your degree, didn't you? Yeah,
I did. I got the job in the ambulance service as the entry-level emergency care support worker. And, every role is important. Every role within there, a paramedic is only as good as their support network that's behind them. And we make joint decisions that, it's not a one-man show. You share these decisions, and you look, your partners is massively important. It's massively important. So I was emergency care support worker, then internally applied to get on the course, and then they funded me. So I didn't pay for my degree. My employer funded all my tuition fees and everything, which amounts to about £30,000. It's a lot of money. It's about £9,000 a year plus bits and bobs. So for me, that was the best route, because I could not have afforded to fund myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, next one. This is quite a long one, so you might see yourself quite small in the screen. Been looking forward to hearing Ann-Marie's story on a live. Just wanted to ask how Ann-Marie felt about going to full-time education, and how did you manage that, which I think you've answered. And did you consider working within the trust, working up to a paramedic?
It's both, really, because you do exactly the same degree as someone who does it externally. It's still 3 years. It's still a BSc at the end of it. The only difference being is when you're doing it externally, you come and have your placements with a trust, and you're a third manner, is what we call them. So you're an extra person, and you've got a paramedic on that truck who's your mentor, and they, your placement time there, where you're gaining all this valuable experience on the ambulance, is part of your degree. So it's like 40%, I'm guessing the percentage, about 40%, 30-40% of uni time, and then 60% of placement. So when you're doing it in service, you're doing exactly the same. It is a little bit harder, I will say, because you're obviously working as well. So, when I say direct entry students, normal students, when they're off at Easter and summer holidays, you're still working. When they've got days off, when your day's off, I sat here for 3 years in this spare room doing my essays, doing my lit review, dissertation, all those things that you have to do depending on where you do your degree. My days off were spent in here doing all of that.
And that's why I will never go for paramedic.
It's not easy, but it's I did it, so anyone can do it. It's doable.
Yeah.
So.
No, it is. Also, what's the next one we got then? Another long one. Okay, I'm currently doing a HE, access into nursing. So I'm looking to get into the NHS to get experience and then go to uni through work. Sounds very similar to what you're saying. So what's an HE, just for the jargon? Do you know? Or?
That's a higher education access course. So
Okay.
One to show recent learning. It's like, I think it's equivalent to either 1 or 2 A levels. So if, like me, you hadn't been to school for a long time,
that's definitely
you have to show that you can learn to that level before they'll invest in you to be able to do that degree. They've got to be sure that you can do it. I suppose it's their way of seeing that you're committed to doing it.
So if you're an old fossil like me and you still got A levels and O levels, they still count. You wouldn't have to do the HE.
The O levels count, but I don't think the A levels do. I think you have to show something within the last 5 years, which is why there's lots of these HE access courses available.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, we've got another one. Let's go there. I still have my flying career and not ready to give up my wings, but this is something I would like to do in the future. Any courses you could recommend to do now to benefit me in the future?
Well, I mean, I volunteered. That's what I used to do. I volunteered at my local hospital in A&E just to get used to the experience. For me, it was to be able to help. I wanted to help and do, be useful on my days off. So I think something like that is quite good to have when you do apply for, if you do want to go into the NHS or into the ambulance service, whichever. Showing that you've done voluntary work, whether it's, in hospital or St. John's. You could do an advanced first aid course. I mean, I wouldn't say spend a lot of money doing anything like that, because I think you can get a lot of really valuable experience as a volunteer, and it does show really good commitment. So, perhaps something like that would be good on your CV when you do then go to apply for something.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Next one. What have we got here? There you go. I left school wanting to be a paramedic. Went to college and started flying when I was 19. It was my first flying job. I applied for it and got it. I keep saying that I need to do this, but I got comfortable flying. In fact, I think it's a bit more than that, actually. Let me read it from here. To see. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. So I think it's something that like to go back into eventually. Let's just check that one, because this might be I
think that's from Sam Megson.
Yeah, I can't see the names here.
What Sam's basically is talking about there, it will kind of ring bells with so many people. Before this pandemic and before redundancies, there was so many crew that you would fly with who were always interested in becoming a paramedic and following that career. But like what Sam's saying, got very comfortable flying. I was one of them. I'm sure there's hundreds of people out there who got very comfortable flying, enjoying themselves, and kind of you get, you're in your comfort bubble and everything's rosy. You've got a job, you're going to great places, and it's so easy to kind of just sit back and let those years go. But what we've obviously seen with starting this group, after all the redundancies and people unfortunately losing their jobs, it's opened up the doors for them to pursue this kind of career and opportunity, and they haven't known how to go about it. And luckily, there's people in this group who are able to tell how to go about this. So that's one of the great things about what's going on.
I understand that, because 28 years, that's a lifetime. I was so comfortable in the job. I could go to work and with my eyes shut and do the job. I knew it so well. I was so comfortable in that role. I didn't need to think about anything. And then when a medical or something, or a tech problem, when that cropped up, I actually came alive. Then I was like, oh, this is something.
Yeah, but Ed told me that you struggled on your AvMed every year. Said you were very good.
Always fail, such a huge failure.
Yeah. Can I just hop in there? I was going to say, you said about volunteering in hospitals, maybe to help. If they look to the bottom of the screen, again, I've mentioned it on many shows, Project Wingman is the ideal opportunity if you've been furloughed and want to support the NHS. I've done it myself. Absolutely love my time. Managed to work with so many different people from different airlines, and it made sure I still sort of fitted in my uniform, just about. But it also keeps you. It also keeps you in the mindset of working as a team. So the details are down below. Project Wingman, they're still looking for people. So yeah, if you want a entry, I say it looks good on your CV. They're going to want to do that. There's also another question there. Did you say about I would love to be be a paramedic, but feel like my dyslexia would let me down.
Not
Any
at all.
comments on that?
No, my very good friend who I was at uni with and who works for the same trust as me has dyslexia. She got first in her degree.
Wow.
So yeah, she knows who she is. I won't say, but yeah, there are barriers. I won't lie, but there's so much in place. At uni, they're really good. She had a lady she used to go to who would support her in lectures, or if it was exams we were doing, they even have different coloured paper backgrounds and all sorts of things like that. They accommodate every type of dyslexia or support it as much as they possibly can. And it certainly didn't hold her back at all. And she's a fantastic paramedic. So no, don't let that stop you at all. It shouldn't.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think, exactly right. I'm 28 this year. Feel like I've got loads of time to do it. And final one for now. There you go. I miss flying, and like Anna-Marie, I love the medicals on board. Yeah, I think we've all had that sense of excitement at some time, which is awful, but at least it just shows the adrenaline is running. Right. Okay.
So, Anne-Marie, before we move on to the next subject, which I want to cover about interviews, possibly what to put down on your job applications, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And is there anything you kind of want to cover before we move on to that regarding anything of interest like you want to bring up?
I think no. I mean, I'm happy just to go on with what we've said so far. If there's any questions about entry, what entry levels, each of those levels I talked about, you can go in at. It depends what your qualifications are at this point. So I would always advise anyone who's interested to go and look at their local trust, register with NHS job alerts, and put their local area in, and whether it's a keyword as ambulance or nurse or whatever it might be, get on there, basically get set up and have those alerts coming to you. Because I had that when I was in the process of coming out of flying, and I'd see these like opportunities pop up and thought, and it sort of made me take that final step. So I would definitely say that.
Absolutely. I did exactly the same with the NHS jobs. I got in by being a 111 call handler, with obviously my 5 O levels, GCSEs, whatever you call them now. Got in as a 111 call handler. That kind of got us in, foot in the door. But obviously, and it opened my eyes to all the things that the ambulance service kind of like went through, and it gives us all the experience in the control center aspect of things. So I did that for 2 years, but all the time I was doing that job. Obviously, once you're in, you've got a bit of a head start. You know what jobs are coming around, like easier than probably people external. So, and I was able to like apply while I was doing the 111 call handler job for the ECSW role, PTS as well, patient transport service. They were always coming around. So there was those roles, that's that role on patient transport service. That's the one below what I do, and it's ambulance care assistant, I think it's called. You might see that on applications. That's like a band 2, and that's basically you take patients to their GP appointments, doctor's appointments, at hospitals. You take them home, kind of thing. There's no kind of medical intervention needed as with that role, so you have that role as well. But once I was in control, I was able to like have a good look around, see what was available, and apply by sitting there like on my break, kind of thing. Obviously, I needed my C1 on my license to drive the ambulance. Luckily for me, I'm 49-year-old, so I already had granddad rights for that. So I didn't have to do my course. But I know obviously the younger ones will have to. And then I got the job, and obviously I'm the clinical care assistant now, and that's how I kind of got into where I am now. But that moves us on nicely to like how I don't want to sound like a smart ass here, like, but like how I didn't find the interview to get the jobs regarding the NHS too difficult, because the scenarios that they present to you when you're actually in that interview room were very similar, super similar to what I had to go through, what you go through as cabin crew. You know, like whenever you had to like help somebody, you know, whenever you've gone out your way, whenever you've shown empathy, whenever you had to challenge authority, all of these, whenever you had to change something at the last minute for the benefit of a patient or a passenger on board, all these scenarios that you got as cabin crew, they were just like, I was sitting in that interview and I was like, oh my God, I've done all of these 1,000 times, going for promotions and jobs from the airline. So give a few little interview tips to all our guys out there if they're lucky enough to get to that point.
Completely agree. It's very much competency based. I have done some interviewing here in the ambulance service as well. So I've seen it from both sides. So it's very much competency based. So you need to have I've got a folder still downstairs in the basement with scenarios that I had, and it took a while, but I sat down and thought of a competency based on everything that I could be asked, and every one I could easily fit. There was a passenger on that flight or that one, and that covers that. And just familiarize yourself and have like a stockpile of competency based answers that you can just dig out depending on what it is, what they're giving you. The scenarios as well, you know, a lot of it is common sense. A lot of it is what we do anyway as crew, and it's about how you react, keeping calm, you know, basically keeping it together when the situation gets a bit sort of hectic and out of hand. And, you know, crew are calm under pressure. That's what we are. We're these little swans and paddling furiously underneath. So everything, the skills we have are so easily transferable. I know at my interview, it was like 2 minutes of ticking the boxes of, you know, what had to be done. And then about 20 minutes asking me about flying, about where my favourite places were, where I'd been, what I'd done and enjoyed. They already know that they like us. They love crew. They know that we're more than up for the job. So, you know, the fact that we've got this experience, that's all they need. You know, they don't need to sort of necessarily go through all of that process, because they know we can do it anyway. We've been doing it for, you know, however many years you've been doing the job. But, you know, I would say make sure you're prepared for interview. Make sure you go really smart. You know, you're going to be wearing a uniform. They want to see that you can wear it well. And, you know, every crew member would turn up, you know, made up. I still have a face of makeup every day I go to work. And that is my mask for work. I remember when I joined the service, people were saying, "Oh, that'll wear off. You'll be rolling out of bed and coming to work." But anyone who knows me will know that this face of makeup goes on every day, and that's that. So make sure you're smart, make sure you're early, make sure you're prepared. Have your stockpile of answers for these competency-based questions you will get asked. But make sure you structure it well. Use the STAR method, the situation, you know, this passenger, this happened, and then the task, what happened, what your actions were, what the result was, you know, and structure it so that you don't waffle with each answer. And just importantly as well is have an understanding of the trust where you're going to work. Research the trust, what their values are, you know, what their incentives or initiatives that they've got going on at the moment. Do your background research on them, and also research what's going on in the NHS. I mean, we know what's going on now, but there's also you can look at the Keogh report, the Francis report, these things that happened 2013, I think it was, which shaped the way the NHS is now, and how it, the direction it's heading in. Issues the NHS face. Obviously, COVID's a big issue, but there's other issues that are still there despite COVID being around. So, staff shortages, care for the elderly. People are getting older with more complex medical conditions. We've got frequent callers, frequent flyers as well. The mental health budget, there's a 70% increase in mental health cases, but the budget in the last 25 years only went up by 0.6%. So wow. it's horrendously underfunded. So there's all of these other things that are going on in the NHS, which if you can put that across and discuss it in an interview, they'll be like, wow, okay, this person knows what they're doing and they know what they're talking about, and they're interested in coming to work here. And have it, also, why do you want to do it? It sounds like a really simple question, but be sure in your mind what your answer is going to be as to why you want to do it. And I don't think you can go wrong, really. I'll tell
you what I used to I wouldn't say enjoy, but I used to find it like a bit of a game. You know how people who are going, we're going in to be interviewed, and you're thinking, oh, I wonder what they're going to think of us, and what kind of person they're going to think I am. I'm in my head, I'm a kind of assessing them. I'm not qualified to do so, but because of experience with people throughout, our lives, I'm looking at them as well. I'm reading their body language. I'm kind of working out. I'm taking a couple of minutes to work out what kind of personalities they have, because I could have stony face sitting opposite us, just barging questions out so easy. Give me a scenario kind of thing, and I'm getting nothing from that. But what I am getting from that is right, I've got to deliver my scenarios in a professional, serious manner kind of way. You know what I mean? Or if I'm sitting opposite somebody who's like, oh, all right, so anyway, how you doing? Kind of, how's your day gone? Bit more relaxed. Then I can be a bit more relaxed with my answers. Yeah. Give a little bit more personality than I would have done with stony face. You know what I mean? And have a bit of conversation, and that's when I find you can open up and give a little bit of information more about your flying background. As soon as, like you said earlier, as soon as you start mentioning to the right person sitting opposite you that you were ex-cabin crew, that you flew for said airline, whichever, where you've been to, who you've met, their eyes pop out on stalks, and they want to know more about you. They're they're already sold to your personality, and they know what you are as a person. As there's patient care, tick straight away. There's empathy, there's understanding, there's teamwork, and tick, 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 tick. You've already ticked a load of boxes in the first 2 minutes. You know, you've just got to deliver your scenario in a cool kind of amazing way, So that's why I get excited and nervous at interview, but I've always been able to do a good interview, and I've always come to that interview buzzing, knowing that I think I've covered it all there. I think I've sold myself, I've sold myself, and I love interviews. Once you get to the interview, I think boom, you've got past all that paper applications and all that computer work, and once they see you face to face, they're sold. I feel like you're in 99% of the time you're in.
And I think crews stand out as well, because when I've been interviewing here, you can just see, how they hold themselves, how they present themselves. Some people are they'll come to an interview quite casual, which I can't ever get my head around at all. But you'll see the smartly dressed, well presented, the person who's friendly and interacting with other, applicants at the time. And you can just spot them a mile away. Yeah. Spot crew a mile away. But also I think what is helpful as well, because I know I hadn't had an interview for a long time. is to get a friend to do, you know, now that Teams and all these Skype things are available, get a friend to do an interview, a mock interview with you. Because I've done that for a few people who I work with here, who've gone for promotions here. And I've gone through mock interviews and you know, fired all sorts of questions at them in this scenario, because obviously a lot of interviews now are done online. And, you know, that's helped them to prepare. So make sure you do get as much preparation as you can in, so that you just, you know, again, comfortable in that environment. I would say that'd be quite useful to do before you do it. But, you know, as crew, we've got all the skills. We've, you know, everything that you need for this job, especially, you know, most importantly is communication skills. And we've got that in abundance, because if you can't communicate with a patient, you can't get their history, you can't get the reason that they've called you, you can't get their past medical history. And if you can't get that, you could be the best clinician on the planet, but if you can't get that from them, how can you treat them? So, you know, communication is key. Having all the Gucci skills is great, but if you can't communicate with that person, you know, you're not going to get anywhere. And you know, we do that without even thinking about it. Yeah,
absolutely. You hit the nail bang on the head there. So anyway, what's next for Ann-Marie Burmester, and what's next for you then after paramedic?
If I was 20 years younger, I would be going to apply for critical care paramedic and then HEMS helicopter. That would be the job of my dreams, would be on the helicopter doing that. I've been really lucky enough to do 2 observer shifts with them, and I've gone up on the helicopter, and they are just amazing. They're so slick, so professional, and it's combining the 2 things that I love. It's combining the flying and the medicine as well. It would just be perfect. But I think realistically, just keeping going as I am for now.
Keep going, Ann-Marie. You're doing an absolutely brilliant job, and like, which leads us on to the like basically tying up, actually, because like I said at the very beginning of the show, I'm so pleased and happy and that you've agreed to come on this show, because Ann-Marie, since, like I've told them before, since we started Not Just Crew. How did you hear about Not Just Crew anyway, before I move on to this?
One of my friends who I was at Britannia with, who went to Virgin as well, she sent me a link to it. So she was in there already, Tilly, and someone must have been asking questions about the ambulance service, and she knew, because we're friends, that was, you know, that's where I am. So she put me forward to join. She sort of linked me in and said, you know, come and join this group. And then I got in and, you know, saw what you were doing. And I think, you know, you guys are amazing. The fact that you do this in your own time, you know, you've done this to help people. If I was in the position where I was, you know, I could have done with you 5 years ago. Where were you 5 years ago? Because I had to find all this stuff out for myself. There was no one to help me.
I was in Witherspoons. I wasn't here.
But no, I think you're all amazing. You know, you're all fantastic for doing it, and thank you for what you're doing.
No, listen, well, what I'm saying is thank you, because like you said, so many people have been asking questions about all the things that we've kind of covered on today's show, and more questions on top of that. And you've always put yourself forward and come up and like offered your support and encouraged people, took time out of your day to help assist. And because of what you've done, people have getting jobs, Ann-Marie, you know, people have getting jobs, people have found a way forward, and people have moved on from like redundancies, or if they've furloughed or left the airline, and they've found careers within the NHS. And that's all because of what you and other people in this group do. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you, the bottom of my heart, from me and the 2 boys, for everything.
I'll get all emotional if you do that.
No, listen, I don't care. I'm emotional myself, right? And what I want to do is just bring somebody on who you have helped, and you know, and she's been absolutely brilliant. So I want to just bring on Wendy Branch, who wants to say a few words.
Hi. Hi, how are you?
Turn your lights on.
I'm okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, Ann-Marie, honestly, I can't. I'm so glad I got this opportunity to come on and thank you personally. I'm getting all emotional. You've been absolutely amazing.
Oh, I'm just pleased. I am so pleased for you, Wendy, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You have been like a trooper. You have tried and tried and tried. And that's the whole spirit of what this group is about. You have to, you know, there's going to be knockbacks. It's not going to be plain sailing. You're not going to get the first job you go for. If you do, great. No. There's going to be obstacles and there's going to be knockbacks. But you just got up again and went again. Got up again, went again. Incredible.
But do you know what? You know, if it wasn't for you guys giving me the support, the encouragement, and you know, you get to that stage where you're writing an application and you've got all these competencies, and you know, when I was emailing you thinking, I know them, but because you do things naturally, you don't analyze it and you don't break them down. So by contacting you and you're saying, well, this question means that, you know, that just helped me produce so many excellent applications, and all my applications have been successful. It's just been the blinking tests that I've had that have let me down. But when you were talking about, and it was that.
That sweaty glove you had.
Oh yeah. So do you know? But I'm a great believer. What's for you is won't go by you. But yeah, I was so frustrating because what you were saying when you go on an interview, because you're cabin crew, I just wanted to get to that stage to show these people this is who I am. I'll be so perfect at the job. But when I went for an interview for my nurse's role, it was the most natural thing I've done. And it just proves that when you get past those tests and things like that, your cabin crew skills totally come out.
Yeah, 100%. And they look at, you know, the reason it's easy for me to help because I know that you're all perfect. I know crew are perfect for these jobs. I know crew can do it with their eyes shut. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it. I would not just say it, you know. And that's, you know, it's just having that guidance, which, you know, I wish I'd had it 5 years ago. I really do. And having done it myself, it's just having that belief in yourself, and you know, if I can help people understand and just realize their skills they've got, you know, I'm not doing anything. I'm just like highlighting what you have got, what you do anyway, the way you are, the sort of people that you are. And it's just reminding yourself, because you get into this mindset when you've done the job for a long time, you think, oh, I'm just crew. I am just crew. But you're not just crew, which is the whole point. You're not just crew. And you've got this amazing skill set, which is transferable and perfect for the NHS, perfect for this role.
Well, do you know, I mean, obviously, thank you guys for setting up not just crew, but Ann-Marie and, you know, Claire's been so helpful as well. But I mean, like, considering we don't know each other, and you know, you've taken the time out to like help me, a stranger, it just means the world to me. And you're doing a brilliant job.
Thank you. Well, and you know, you've done the same. You've helped strangers get the job as well. Yes, you know, I think someone had put some flowers on or something that they sent you because you'd got.
Yeah, I helped somebody. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, this group's amazing. And although I've not flown for a while, I am been in the travel industry, and it's just heartbreaking that you think it's not going to be the same. But do you know, if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't be doing what I'm going to be doing next week, and I know I'm going to thoroughly enjoy the role. It's just really me, and I haven't given up on the ambulance technician role yet, but I think for me it's a step in the door, it's a way forward. So
and good on you.
Well said.
Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I'll keep in touch.
I was useful. That's all I want to be in life, is useful.
Oh, you certainly are.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome,
gorgeous.
darling. Love you both.
Bye, Wendy.
Love you too, hon. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. Oh, listen, it's like she's just one of hundreds of people you've helped. You know, one of hundreds of people you've helped, Ann-Marie, and it's absolutely it's mind blowing. And you haven't been alone, because there's somebody else I want to bring in as well, who has also been unbelievable. And Welcome, Claire Groston. Thank you so much for joining us. Say hello to each other, you two.
Hello, virtual shake.
I want to explain. Claire Groston did a show with us about 5-6 months ago. We covered everything about the NHS back then. We're basically doing a refresher now with Anne-Marie, but Claire, as well as Anne-Marie, the pair of yous have helped bloody hundreds of people in this group, right? With careers, with mental health, support, strength, everything, you name it, and they've built new lives from the support that you've given. 8,500 members in our group, and I'm lucky enough to take this opportunity to say thank you so much, ladies, because you've been a tower of strength to me, like a tower of strength to me, and I want to say thank you. Hang on, I'm just going to nip off. You two talk.
Okay, so it's the Claire and Anne-Marie show.
It's so good to see you.
So good to see you as well. And listen, you know, that support is completely a two-way street, because without the support that I got from you guys, and I think it was sort of widely known that I wasn't in the best frame of mind for a little while for numerous reasons. And you know, I think this whole pandemic has affected everybody in lots of different ways. There's been an awful lot going on, and you know, I'll be the first to admit that, you know, I've had my own demons and things that I've been trying to sort, and I can't thank you all enough for supporting me. So, you know, it really is a two-way street. This group has offered everybody, you know, the help and the helpers have just all had benefits. It's been absolutely tremendous. So, you know, I'd like to offer my thanks as well, because without the support that I got, and I even got a bunch of flowers out of that. So, you know, thank you. I was incredibly touched by that from people I've never met. Anne-Marie, I've never had the opportunity to meet you. Simon, I've never met you. And this has all been, you know, virtual friendship, which has meant more to me than some of the real friendships I've got out there. So, you know, just goes to show how invaluable that can be and how important it is that it carries on. So thank you. Genuinely.
And everyone's got, you know, everyone's got each other's back. That's what this is like. This is why the ambulance service is so similar to cruise flying, because, you know, people look out for each other. You know, it's a stressful time. It's a stressful job. And you need to know people have got your back.
Absolutely.
And it's so important to know that support is there. Not if you need it. It's always going to be a when, isn't it? Because we're all going to need it at some point.
100%.
You know,
100%.
I had a horrible week last week. You know, I can work tomorrow. It's going to be good. It's going to be a great week.
Yeah.
We're staying positive. We're staying positive. And the nice thing is, you know, this is a 24-hour service almost. It's almost like a little bit of a treble nine in itself, isn't it? You know, you can log on and there'll always be somebody who'll reply to you at any given time of the day. And do you know, that's such a support. I can't tell you honestly, the times that I've logged on and put my little bits of woe and people have just responded with such positivity. It's amazing. It really is. Thank you. It
hasn't never stopped like knocking me off my feet, this group. Just like whenever I see somebody who posts something up, within 20 minutes there's like 20 responses already, you know. And I keep thinking it's gonna end. People are gonna get bored. People are gonna be like, oh god, I can't be bothered to reach. And it just isn't. There's just more people keep coming into the group, and more people giving their little golden like touches of magic, you know, and putting arms around each other and helping each other out. And it's amazing, man.
It is. And it feels nice. It's, you know, it gives you a nice feeling when you're the one who's offering the help. You know, you know they've got your back, and if you need it, they're there. But when when you're doing your little bit, they're just little tiny bits of niceness that it just helps, doesn't it?
Of course it does.
It helps
it's provided so much more than just job opportunities to people and new perspective and outlooks. It's provided an awful lot of mental stability, I think, for people, and that I think is invaluable. You won't get that through counselling. No way.
No.
But you two ladies, you two ladies have been like by my side, and like whenever I've needed any help, like with what, I don't care what it is, with anything, you have always like stood up and offered your support, and you have been there from the very beginning. So thank you to both of you. I kind of think you know how I feel. I think you know how I feel about you. If we all live together, if we all live near each other. It
We'd all be out on the last.
Absolutely brilliant. Oh, there she is.
There she is.
I can't wait for this all to be over so we can actually meet up and get really serious.
Well, that's definitely going to happen at some point. That's what we've got planned for the future. We're trying our best to get something up and running for this year, so we can all get together, hug it all out, cry, drink, dance. We are
literally representing the 4 areas of the country here, aren't we? Like
south, we are, right?
Northwest, northeast, north. I mean, you can't get any further north than our Wendy here, can you?
No.
I didn't realise you couldn't see me, and I'm busy giving you virtual hugs and kisses earlier.
You've been ages picking out your outfit as well, doing your hair.
I should have my nurse's outfit on. I tried it on this morning. I should have put that on.
You're not in Hong Kong now.
Anyway, lovely to see you both.
Just so inappropriate, Simon.
I know, that's kind of helping. It's the lemonade. Listen, thank you so much, ladies. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll speak to you very soon. Okay, gorgeous ladies.
Okay.
Ann-Marie, stay there, Ann-Marie.
Okay, stay safe.
Bye.
You too, Claire.
Go on, get away. God, hanging around. As soon as she gets on, she doesn't want to get off. How was that little surprise for you?
Oh, that was lovely. That is so lovely. Really emotional.
I thought it was about time the 3 of yous all met up. Right, listen. We've come up to the hour mark now, Ann-Marie. It's like I said, it's like it goes so quick, isn't it? And I just want to say thank you for all the information that you've given our members out there. Is there anything you want to finish up with?
The only thing I would probably say is, for people getting experience, I know it's not going to be as easy to volunteer because of COVID at the moment. What I would say is a lot of these vaccinator roles, helping out in vaccination centres, not necessarily doing the vaccinations, because I know some trusts will allow crew to do them and some won't. But that is invaluable experience. And as well, a community first responder for your local trust. So while you're still flying and still working, you can get a taste of the job by responding in your local community as well. And again, that's a great way in to the trust, should you wish to do it. But follow your heart, follow your dreams. There's nothing worse than getting to a point in your life where it's too late to even try. It's better to have a go. And if it doesn't work out, or, your pathway's not so straightforward, at least you tried. At least you gave it a go, rather than, regret not even trying. So I would say, give it a go, see what happens. Anything's possible. An old bird like me doing this job.
Behave yourself. Listen, absolutely beautifully put. Couldn't have put it better myself. Brilliant. Listen, stay on, because obviously after the titles, we'll be going to the green room where Trevor is, if he can pick himself up off the floor. No doubt he's on his 8th tray of sambucas by now, because he does like an afternoon little tipple, does Trev. So I just want to say thank you so much. We had so many people watching this afternoon's one-off special with your good self. So thank you so much for joining us, and tune in. I've got Simon's Saturday summary. What day is it? Oh yeah, I think it's a Saturday. So tune in for the update on Saturday with myself. And it just leaves me to say Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and have a very good afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Not Just Crew has been internationally inspired by you.